Under the boardwalk, we'll be falling in love under the boardwalk.
Welcome to Atlantic City and Challenge Atlantic City for the championship edition of Breakfast with Bob. A little later in the day, our next guest, Mr. Jim Lubinski, as we call him, the Big Lubinski.
The one and only here,
the
Bob.
The one and only. And you know, for most of the time, we've been interviewing dwarfs. I mean, really small triathlon guys. So I don't know how fair that is as a pro triathlete that these guys are 130 and you're like, what do you come in at?
I'm 185 right now, but let me tell you something. My whole thing, I want to start full contact triathlon.
FCT is what we've always talked about, because you're a former hockey guy,
right?
And if you could, just a couple of forearm shivers, a little elbow here and there.
You know what?
What's the harm?
You go by, you bump somebody on the bike, a little road rash.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to falling off my bike occasionally if somebody bumps me, but I think for the most part, I'm gonna get the best of them.
I was gonna say, some 130-pound guy bumps you, it's gonna be like, oh, a gnat. What was that?
Yeah, like
you bump into Freddie Kronberg.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing anything but flying about 40 feet in the air.
I think Starkowitz and I may have a competition, or Big Sexy, but Scott I can't say his last name.
You'll be
fast dude, but I think I might even the tables there.
It's hard for him to be fast when he's picking splinters out.
Right, or teeth. The way we do in hockey, we lose teeth all the time. So I don't have more to lose. I've lost all mine already. So some of these triathletes could afford to lose a few.
It's interesting when I look at I talk to a lot of the triathletes. They come from a swimming background, they come from a cycling background, they come from a running background, a lot of endurance stuff. You come from a hockey background. Heather Jackson came from a hockey background. Hockey, which I see as you go out there on the ice for 2 minutes and basically bust along, heart rate 8,000, go hit people, and then go sit down and try to collect your breath and do it again. Mm-hmm. Tough transition getting from what brought you from one to another?
Well, it's a total different energy system. I mean, it's VO2. It's pretty much before I knew what VO2 max was. That's pretty much what ice hockey is. VO2 max after VO2 max after VO2 max. So I retired. I played Division I ice hockey in college at Fairfield University. I retired. I played actually a year pro in the East Coast Hockey League in the Central, and I got traded 3-4 times. I never went without stitches or fake teeth, losing my teeth. You lose
teeth, right?
Yeah, you lose teeth.
How many teeth have you lost?
I've lost 3 teeth.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And they're never like way in the back somewhere.
No, right in the grill.
Right in the front.
Yeah, right in the front. So, I was tired of losing teeth. I was tired of having to have stitches in my face all the time. I said, I have a college degree. Let me go get a real job. Right. So I packed up my stuff, moved out to California, and
then you got a real job doing triathlon.
Exactly. So I got a job working, a desk job working, and then saw some guys riding around in some tight trunks and some tight shirts. I said, you know what? I like to wear the less clothing, the better. Maybe I should try this. And
but that way you pick up chicks, right? You walk around with not much on.
Especially in LA, they go for the guys with less material.
One question I always had for a hockey player, like when you lose teeth, is there a age limit for the tooth fairy? Does the tooth fairy stop coming when you get past like 18 or 19?
It's a different tooth fairy. Tooth fairy, is this explicit? I mean, it's kind of like
that's okay. Yeah.
The women dig no teeth. When you're an ice hockey player, you lose the teeth.
So
you find tooth fairies at the bar.
Oh.
If you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So Tooth Mary.
Tooth Mary. Right.
Oh,
more teeth.
I like that.
The more you get paid, right?
Right. And usually they don't have teeth either.
Well, in some of these towns that I played in, you hit the nail on the head, my friend.
I love that.
But you asked the question about how does it transfer over, and I think it's like I said, it's 2 different energy systems, but I think the mental aspect is huge. You just learn to go hard. Effort after effort after effort, and you build this. You have years of building this huge strength foundation, so you have to have that to build off of. So you have to change your training philosophy, but I think the mental aspect it adheres to the sport so much because you're just so used to pain. You're so used to that effort that just doesn't stop, shift after shift, and that's why as an ice hockey player I come to this, and I had some pretty quick success.
Right, but the hard part is if you're in the horse racing. And your horse and jockey are lighter than the other guy, they put weights on weights on them. If there was a handicap triathlon and Freddie and Scotty had to weigh 185, would they even be in the ballpark?
That's the thing. You're carrying around a lot more weight because in order for myself to have 4.0 watts per kilogram on the bike, I have to be at around the average of 320, 330 watts.
Right.
Whereas I know it's all all relative to the size, but
you
those
don't have
guys
any relatives that are
4.0
small either.
Pete Jacobs was at 4.0 in Hawaii a couple years ago, and he held 280 wattage. For my bike portion today, I held 280, and I would think I was at 3.5, 3.6 watts per kilogram. So it does make a huge difference carrying around that much weight. I mean, grab a 25-pound weight and try and carry it around on your back for 112 miles.
So why triathlon? I mean, it seems like as a cyclist, right, as a roadie or a time trial specialist, it seems that would be more suited to your frame.
Well, here's the thing. I always grew up as a runner. In 7th grade, I won the state championship for the mile.
Yeah.
So I ran, in 7th grade, I ran 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
Did you really?
Yeah,
So
in 8th grade,
4
I ran
and change, we call it.
4 and change, right?
Yeah.
So you can still say 4 and change.
4:59.9, yeah.
Right, exactly. So I won it in 7th grade. 8th grade, I ran 4:52. I won my heat. I didn't win the overall, but I hung them up. I was like Jordan. I retired on top.
Why not?
So I didn't come back to running. I had run through college. That was my off season or training. I'd run, and I hadn't come back to it until I took up the sport of triathlon. Knowing I had the running background, I said, let me try this swimming. Let me try this biking thing. And like I said, I had a few buddies in Chicago actually that got me into it.
Right.
Did triathlon. So they said, why don't you try this out? So I did a few races, did really well at them, and then kind of took a few years to ease into the sport. In 2009, I really put the pedal down and took it serious and turned pro that year.
And I think you had like an 8th at Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, I was 8th at Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
I was, I think at Cabo this year I was 10th. I raced today. Didn't
Yes.
have the best day.
Well, today you had bike issue.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into it,
No.
but cassette kind of came off, and I
That's
was having a
never
great
good.
day. I was at around, average 25 miles an hour through 70
Wow.
miles, so I was having a great day. I was making up some major time that I had lost in the swim, but things happen, and
Sure.
I've raced a ton this year, and it's just all about learning for these later season races. I'll be at Lake Placid in a few weeks, and then Louisville a few weeks after that. So
how many iron distance races are you doing a year now?
well, I'll be at probably around 5 to 6 this year.
So, but you feel that your strength is at the longer distance.
Yeah, because I know my swim isn't the strongest thing in the world.
Right, so you need the time.
Right, and I don't have that speed that those guys have at the 70.3 right now. The 70.3 speed is just
That's
off the
Olympic
charts.
distance at this
It is.
point.
Those guys just put the hammer down from the gun, and I
Right.
just don't have that speed. But I have the speed where I can maintain for 8 hours, 8.5 hours.
Right.
I know I can maintain that speed, but I can't hit those high speeds that they're hitting at the 70.3 right now. So I did a bunch of 70.3s at the beginning of the season that that primed me for these later season races.
So this race, had you done a challenge race before?
It's my first challenge.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, they put together a really good race. They really do it well. They do it top notch. They put everything, all the right stuff into it.
Exactly.
When they bite something off, it seems like they bite off a big chunk to undertake. So
when you saw where the run was, that's going to be on the boardwalk, and you're going to have thousands of people on there, knowing that you like a crowd, you like to play to a crowd.
I love it.
So I bet you're going, crap! I didn't get to run in front of all these people, man.
I just sat out there and I was eating burger and having a beer, and I was looking. I was just so envious of these people running through the mobs of spectators out there. It's kind of like riding in the Tour de France. You have these spectators right on top, and I think the adrenaline you build from that, that adds 10, 20 seconds a mile. I think I would have probably ran like a 2:15 or something.
Easily, or maybe 2:08.
2:08. Why not? I might have qualified for the Olympic trials. I probably would have. Let's say that.
That's the one thing with triathlon. A lot of times we don't have spectators, right?
Right.
And here,
Never.
you've got 30,000, 40,000 people who happen to be here now are being exposed to a sport that they probably have never seen before.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see the people because, like I said, I just sat out there for 2 hours waiting for a hamburger, and just to see these people that don't look like the typical triathlete fan standing out there cheering on these competitors that they don't know who they are, but they're out there yelling, screaming, and it's just bringing a whole new side of spectator to the race. They're saying, what's going on here? And they see these people leaving everything on the course. So you don't know how many people this is going to affect just by seeing it for one day.
Well, we've seen it. Ironman Lake Placid, when that came there wasn't, I don't think they had a bike shop in the city.
Yeah.
And how things have changed, and people come there not just on race day, but they come and train all year round. People come out there and train. So I was talking to your folks earlier today, and they gave me some they showed me some naked photos and things like that, which is really cool.
Who doesn't have those, Bobby?
Of course.
Come on.
I loved it. But no, the main thing is that they're like, oh yeah, we were in Coeur d'Alene, and we were here and we were there. I'm like, wow, this is really cool that your family, mom and dad travel around.
They always say that I'm the reason they've seen the world. Whether it being playing ice hockey, competing in triathlons, competing in marathons. A lot of people just get caught in their comfort zone in their different cities, and I've helped them. They always say that I've helped them see these places they would never go to.
They would never have gone to Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene,
like that,
let's say when I was playing ice hockey, Bismarck, North Dakota. But the relationships I've made there have caused lifelong friends that they now have in Bismarck, North Dakota. That's a small example. Or Fort Worth, Texas, or these small towns that that they would never really go to, like you said, Coeur d'Alene or Portland.
For yourself, is being a professional triathlete. it's tough to make a living doing this.
It is tough, yeah.
So you're doing that. You're doing your, Jim and the Other Guy?
Jim and the Other Guy podcast worldwide. It kind of took after you, Bobby. You've paved the way for the Endurance Sport podcast, and I think all of us working together, we're just spreading the word and spreading the love of endurance sport.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
so in between those two things, and really, where do you how do you make your living?
Well, I also have a coaching business where it's called Red Performance Multisport.
Okay.
So originally it's called Lubes Multisport,
yeah.
But I kind of wanted to put it under the umbrella, so I have coaches working for me, and then we'll all bring that together under Red Performance Multisport.
Oh, nice. So how many coaches?
Right now I have one coach under me. I have another one that's in training, and possibly a fourth one coming on.
So mainly triathlon or all
triathlon,
sorts of...
running, cycling, you name it, we're going to coach you. But we also just started Red Performance Multisport race team as well.
Oh,
so it's about 80 athletes around the country.
Wow.
Yeah, we put an application out there, and we get so much great support from these athletes. We asked if they're passionate about the sport, why they're passionate, and we just got some really good responses. And it's exciting to see what people want to do with the sport, and by starting Red Performance Multisport race team, I think we're bringing some really, really passionate athletes together. We're putting training programs out there for them to use, and we're doing monthly conference calls and athlete-only blogs. So it's a fun time. It's fun to have a team like this, and I'm kind of fashioning it after an ice hockey team where you have even though we're around the country, we're going to have a tight-knit group of athletes that work together, that work with each other. We have an athlete-only forum where they can work with that. And yeah, it's really exciting to see what this is going to grow into.
And what's the website?
RedPerformanceMultisport.com.
RedPerformanceMultisport.com.
So I had a swim coach who used to say, "Let's get red."
Oh,
so, let's get the lungs going. Let's get the red in the face. And I just thought,
hey,
this would be a great name for an endurance sport company. So a lot of people say, "Why red?" And then you have the
gives you something to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
I like that.
So,
you gotta have something cool.
So yeah, I mean that's our motto. # Let's get red.
So when you're traveling with your family, and mom and dad are coming to something like this, I mean, if you're by yourself and you travel all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast, and you end up, having a mechanical and not being able to do the run, you go back to your hotel room, you're pretty bummed. But having mom and dad here, that's it's like it's more than just a race, right?
Yeah.
It's a vacation with mom and dad, and
for sure.
None of us ever know how long you're able to spend with mom and dad. That's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, it's cool, and it definitely makes it a lot easier to take because I'm a competitor. I want to cross that finish line. I want to reel people in on that run and use the run for the strength it is. When I don't get to do that, I'm pissed.
Yes.
So having them here makes the blow a little easier.
Yeah.
It still hurts, but yeah, they definitely turn my mood around pretty quick.
Well, and you know what? If you feel like hitting someone, our producer John Geffram says he loves it when people hit him, like with arms and legs.
Here's the thing: if we go, we're going to drop the mitts. I could use a good drop. We can drop right now.
You know what? He's a big guy. I think he could take a punch. I really do.
We'll find out about that. We'll stream that one.
We're gonna drop the microphone. We're gonna do that. Jim Lubinski has been our guest. We call him the Big Lubinski, and Jim and the Other Guy is a podcast. And just look on iTunes.
iTunes, Google it, whatever. Jim and the Other Guy, we're all over the place. Tune in and Stitcher, all that stuff. But iTunes, subscribe on there. Leave us a review, good or bad.
Yeah.
I know my voice isn't the most pleasant thing, so a lot of people on there say, "Well, the guy shut up."
It's always about the content. Content is all that matters.
It's all about. We have fun. We keep the endurance sport theme, but it's kind of like you. It's just a talk show where we have a good time.
Exactly. Always about having a good time, and you always have a good time when you're about to get pounded by the Jim Lubinski. Look at Geff is packing up his stuff right now.
I can see him. Who's going to press stop on this recording? I could do it. I've known my way around the computer.
Yeah. We are at Challenge Atlantic City. We're on triathlete.com. My name is Bob Babbitt. This is Breakfast with Bob, Championship Edition. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.
From the park, hear the happy sound of a carousel.